And I hear that as last night's vaccine lottery, Ohio has a new millionaire. I tell you what, who would have thunk it? $1 million for getting a vaccine. But it's working. Now 56% of Ohioans have had at least one shot. We've got to get to 70%. That's the goal. We've turned the tide on the once-in-a-century pandemic. We've turned the tide on a once-in-a-generation economic crisis. And families are beginning to be able to breathe just a little bit easier. We still have work to do, but our future today is as bright and as wide open as it ever has been. And now we're faced with a question. What kind of economy are we going to build for tomorrow? What are we going to do? I believe this is our moment to rebuild an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. Not a trickle-down economy from the very wealthy. That has never benefited people who are at this college or any other place where they're trying to make a living. To build an economy that rewards work, not just wealth. An economy that works for the backbone of this country. The people who get up every single day, work hard, raise their families, pay their taxes, serve their country, volunteer in their communities, just looking for a little bit of breathing room. My dad used to say, just a little bit of breathing room, honey. And Tim has heard me say this 1,000 times. My dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay. The last few months have demonstrated what that economy can look like. When our event here was canceled in March, our economy was on the brink of collapse. My mom used to have us especially say, you know, the greatest gift God gave mankind was the ability to forget. Because if it didn't do that, every woman would only have one child. But all kidding aside, the good news is we forget the bad times. That's the good thing about we Americans. We're always optimistic. But 10 months ago, we were in trouble. When I was sworn in, there were 10 million fewer jobs in America, and a lot here in Ohio. But in my first 3 months in office, the economy has added back 500,000 jobs per month. In fact, we've created, with the help again of the members of the Congress that are here today, 1.5 million jobs, more jobs than have ever been created in the first 3 months of any presidency in the history of the United States. Before I took office, the average initial claims for unemployment insurance were over 830,000. This morning we learned that number has fallen below 460,000. Cutting in half, and we're at the lowest level we've seen since March 2020, when the pandemic first struck. Before I took office, almost 24 million Americans were going hungry. Marcy's heard me say this before. Did you ever think you'd see people lined up for miles and miles and miles going into a stadium to get someone to put a box of food in their trunk? People who never, ever, 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 ever thought they need that kind of help. Well, that number of hungry Americans, food-starved Americans, has dropped by 30%. Still too many, but there's clear progress. Before I took office, independent experts were projecting that our economy would grow at 3 to 4% in the year 2021. But they're now projecting that growth will be 6% or higher in 2021. The fastest growth in this country in 40 years. To sum it up, COVID cases are down, COVID deaths are down, unemployment filings are down, hunger is down, vaccinations are up, jobs are up, growth is up.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.